What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about Aurora, and Aurora has had a very red day today, down 11.16%. So there's only one thing we could do. We're going to be taking a look at what happened today. Why is Aurora going low? We're going to be looking at charts, doing some chart analysis, and we're going to be looking at the company and their long and short-term outlook. What's going to happen with this company in the short term? What's going to happen with them in the long term? And on top of that, we even have new analyst price targets for Aurora. Also, we've talked about this in the past where Aurora has $360 million worth of debt. So what's Aurora going to do with that debt? It's going to be due in about 1 year and a half, and time is ticking, and Aurora is going to have to pay this debt soon, or they're going to have to issue even more shares. So we're pretty much going to try to cover this company all around, short term, long term, positive and negative. In order to invest in a company, I feel like you do have to know both sides of the story, and unfortunately Aurora does have two sides to this story. They have a lot of positive things going on for the company, and at the same time they have a lot of negative things going on for this company. So we're going to be touching up on all this throughout this video. But before we get this video started, don't forget, leave me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit that notification bell, smash that subscribe button. Also, don't forget, leave me some comments down in the comment section. Let me know what you think is going to happen in Aurora in the short term and long term. Do you guys see Aurora going even lower? Do you guys see Aurora going to $1.50 American, $1 American? Let me know your thoughts, your 1 year predictions, and let's get this video started. Well, first things first, we're going to be looking at Aurora. And as you can see today, Aurora had a very red day, down 11.29% today, reaching new 52-week lows. So right now, their 52-week lows they're currently sitting at, which is at $1.65 American. And we're going to be zooming into these charts. And if you zoom in real close, it does look like Aurora is slowly approaching this support line right here at $1.50. The reason why I've drawn these lines in is because it was previously using this line at $1.50 as a support, this line at a $2.25 as resistance back in 2017. So once again, just because I have the support line here and this resistance line right here does not mean Aurora cannot dip below $1.50. But $1.50 is around the price range where I do plan to purchase more Aurora shares. I will probably be placing a new order at $1.50 for Aurora in American dollars. And we're going to be doing the same thing in Canadian dollars. Aurora in Canadian dollars only down 10.54%, currently sitting at $2.16. And the same thing, Aurora slowly approaching this support line seems to be at $2 right here, and resistance line seems to be right here at $3.10. And now we're going to be catching up on some news and be taking a look at Aurora and their future for 2020 and beyond. So before we do that, first I want to talk about something that I've talked about many times on this channel, which is right here. Aurora may miss debt covenants, analysts warn. So I remember a long time ago we made a video about Aurora, how they had a $360 million loan, and a lot of people weren't concerned about it because at the time, I think I made that video in 2018, they said that loan, that debt was due in 2021. Well, believe it or not, it's already 2020. 2021 is right around the corner, and Aurora is going to have to find a way to pay this $360 million loan. And one of the options was to dilute even more shares, which of course we don't want to see right now, especially because if Aurora does decide to dilute even more shares now, these shares are worth a lot less now than they were back then. So that means that Aurora will dilute even more shares. And if you guys don't know what dilute shares means, right now every company has a certain amount of shares outstanding. If you look at Aurora shares outstanding right now, their shares are at 1.05 billion shares outstanding. So that means that Aurora has issued over 1 billion shares right now. And if they are not able to find a way to pay off this $360 million loan, that means that they might have to issue even more shares, which right now Aurora is currently sitting at $2.16 per share. So they will probably have to issue around 180 million shares, which will dilute Aurora even more, which would put their share count at close to 1.2 billion shares outstanding, which would put the share value at an even lower price, which punishes us, the shareholders. And that's exactly what we don't want to see. So we're going to touch up on this article real quick, which talks about the $360 million loan, which is coming in August 2021. So we still have over a year for Aurora to hopefully turn things around, hopefully start making some profits, and be able to pay this loan off without diluting the shares. At least 3 analysts have cautioned the pot company may be unable to meet the covenants on the debt. Bank of America analyst Christopher Carey downgraded Aurora to an underperform from a neutral. He cut his 12-month price target to $1.50 from $4. That's a huge cut. So Aurora said it's looking at all options to strengthen its balance sheet, which could be possible because not too long ago, Aurora did sell one of their facilities. Maybe that's their way of bringing in some money instead of spending more. Senior management is working diligently to rationalize our business to realities of the short-term market while positioning Aurora for the significant long-term opportunities ahead. So shares fell as much as 11% in Toronto Friday and are down 83% from their March highs. Piper Sandler, which is an analyst, Michael Lavery, also downgraded Aurora to an underweight from neutral on Friday and cut his price target to $1 from $3. So these are two analysts that have cut their price targets back to the $1 range. And this is $1 American, and the other one was $1.50 Canadian. So about the same thing. Maybe $1 American is about $1.31 Canadian. He also cautioned that Aurora is likely to generate negative cash from operations until the fiscal third quarter of 2021, which is when that debt is due. We project a $200 million cash deficit in the interim, which may prove difficult to finance in this capital environment, Lavery said. Last month, Aurora said CEO Cam Badley had stepped down. It also deferred construction at 2 facilities in Denmark and Alberta, which is expected to save approximately $200 million of cash in the near term. So as you can see right now, Aurora is looking to save a lot of cash. They're selling a facility. They stopped doing constructions on 2 facilities. They let go of their CCO, Cam Batley. Maybe this is all according to their plans to save even more money for the company so they can pay off this debt and stop punishing the shareholders, because I'm sure they're getting a lot of hate mail about this. So there are many different ways we could look at this. We could look at this as a way like Aurora is pretty much just screwed. They have debt coming up. They can't afford to pay off this debt. They're going to dilute even more shares, and it's just bad news all around for Aurora. And then there's the other side of the story where it's this debt is still not due for over a year. This debt won't be due till August 2021. So the real question is, will Aurora be able to come up with that money? Will Aurora be able to become a profitable cash flow earning company by 2021, by August 2021? And all the pressure is literally on Aurora right now, whether they will be able to perform and pay off this debt, which when they did borrow this money, they said that they weren't concerned about it and they had plenty of time. I think at the time they had over 3 years to pay off the debt. And now that time has been cut in half. And what have they done to pay off this debt? I can see that they are slowly taking steps here and there, maybe getting rid of their CCO, stopping construction in certain facilities, selling some facilities. So that's them finding ways of spending less money. So only time will tell what's going to happen with Aurora, whether they will be able to pay off this debt, whether they will issue more shares or not. But of course, this is definitely a concern that we need to talk about, because sooner or later a year will fly by and all this will become reality. So now we're going to be talking about another article which will be talking about Aurora and what 2020 and beyond will bring. We're going to be looking at Aurora in the short term, the long term. We're also going to be looking at the Canadian markets, how they're performing, what's slowing us down, pretty much what the years ahead will bring for Aurora. In this article, they talk about Quebec and Ontario being two of the biggest provinces in Canada, and one huge problem that these two provinces have. Well, the problem isn't the amount of people that are populated in this area, but it's the amount of stores that are serving all the potential customers in this area. So believe it or not, both Quebec and Ontario combine for 14 to 15 million people in population. Now, I know that may not sound like a lot, especially if you're from the States or from somewhere else in the world where it's overly populated, but 14 to 15 million people in Canada is almost half the population. And if you guys would take a guess, how many stores are providing services to all these 14 to 15 million people, I'm guessing you guys would think it would be in the thousands, maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 stores in those two provinces. But believe it or not, those two provinces have a total of 50 stores combined in both provinces. So we have 50 stores that are supposed to supply 14 to 15 million people. That makes absolutely zero sense. And it's not the company's fault. It's not Aurora's fault. It's not Canopy's, any of these companies' fault. It's literally the government, Health Canada, all these rules and regulations we have to follow, which is really slowing down the growth of this sector right now. So in my head, I'm asking myself, how are 50 stores supposed to provide for 14 to 15 million people? They simply can't. So that's one problem that we're facing right now in this market, is we don't have enough stores to supply enough people, which means that who's going to thrive from this? Since the legal market cannot provide to all these people, of course the black market's going to be able to provide, because they don't have to have stores, they don't have to follow all these rules and regulations, which is exactly what they talked about here. But they do plan, which by the end of 2020 should have a total of 200 to 250 stores serving the province. That is a lot more. That's almost 4 to 5 times more stores that will be able to serve these 14 to 15 million people, but it's still not nearly enough. At least I don't think. And then even in this article, with the population total of approximately 23 million between the two provinces, so I was wrong. The population is 23 million between the two provinces. I think it could take somewhere around 2,000 retail outlets to meet demand. But if this writer is saying that 2,000 retail stores is enough to meet the demand, how are 50 stores supposed to meet demand? How are 250 stores, which is how much we're expecting to have in year 2020, how are those stores supposed to provide to a population of 23 million? And that just creates the problem where the black market will most likely thrive and the legal market will continue to be slow, which is why these companies aren't making enough money. Revenue is not as high as we expected it to be. It's simply because they're not selling enough. They can't sell enough with the little amount of stores that are available. So in this part of the article, they talk about the black market competition, which I already touched up. Aurora, because it's among the market leaders in cost per gram, it will probably compete better against the black market players than the majority of its peers as the legal market expands. Once again, in order for Aurora to be able to compete with the black market, Aurora just simply needs more stores to sell out of. They can't be sitting on the corners just like the black market does, selling it from their house, from their basement, from wherever they want. Aurora has to do it legally, and that's all Aurora needs in order for them to be able to compete with the black market. We just need more stores to sell out of, because the problem isn't production. The problem isn't how much can they produce. Their only problem is the amount of stores that they're able to sell out of. So derivatives in year ahead, which we already talked about in the last article, it's the debt coming up, which is obviously a huge problem. Luckily for Aurora, they have a year and a half, but just because they have a year and a half doesn't mean they should be sleeping on this. They need to be on point, which I do think they possibly could be, which is why they got rid of CCO Cam Badley, which is why they're stopping construction on certain facilities, and which is why they're selling certain facilities. I do think they're somewhat going in the right path. And of course, it's still a year and a half. So we're just going to have to see what Aurora does in order to pay off that debt. So another problem is companies falling by wayside, which I think could be a very good thing. It means that Aurora will have a lot less competition. In the next couple of years, a lot of these companies are going to go bankrupt. They're not going to be able to compete with the black market. They're not going to have enough money to continue running their business. So a lot of these smaller companies, and probably not even just the smaller companies, they will disappear. I'm guessing all the shareholders hope that Aurora will stick around, and I'm pretty sure they will, because they don't only have a presence in Canada, they have a presence all around the world, 25 countries to be exact. And when all this competition starts to disappear, who's going to be on top? It's probably going to be Aurora, Canopy, and possibly Kronos, because first of all, Canopy and Kronos, those companies have money to back them up, and Aurora just has the global presence right now and the brand, and it's one of the most popular cannabis stocks. So once they get rid of all this competition, once the market pretty much starts stabilizing itself, Aurora will be one of the top dogs on top. At least they won't have as much competition to deal with. And then of course, international domination. So no competitor comes close to Aurora in its international footprint, with a presence in 25 markets, including Canada, and one of their biggest markets being Germany, which according to this article will have about 1 million medical cannabis customers by 2024. So international domination for Aurora is a huge part of their business strategy, and it's just getting started. Cannabis is just starting to get accepted worldwide. So we're going to start to see more countries fully legalize recreational cannabis, which is really good news for the whole sector. And we forgot about one big market, which is the United States. and they're going through the process of legalizing that. So that's a whole nother country that Aurora can tap into. We're just going to go straight to the conclusion. I don't want to read this whole thing because it's a long article, but I will leave this article in the description below if you guys want to watch this. So in the near term, there's not much to be positive about Aurora. That said, because of many positives concerning the long term, many investors are waiting to pounce on any news that will drive the shares up. And it's pretty much the same thing the other way around. If there's negative news, the share prices will go down. And some investors may look at that as a buying opportunity. Others may look at that as this company's going nowhere, this company's going bankrupt. And it is a very high risk that whoever's the investor in this company has to be willing to take. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be a free ride up. It's a big risk. So Aurora is one of the market leaders in production cost per gram, the market leader in production capacity, and the leading company in exposure to international market. So what's not to like over the long term? Those are positives. You can look at Aurora, and then just for every positive, you could probably find 2 negatives on the company. It's always good to know both sides of the story. In the near term, there will continue to be some pain and the outside of a write down, which would put temporary downward pressure on the stock. I don't see anything that will surprise the market in any big way. Expectations are about as low as they have ever been for the company, and even if there is a weaker than expected fourth calendar earnings report, there isn't much lower that the company can go concerning sentiments. After the first half, I don't perceive there being anything that will be able to stop the return of the growth trajectory of Aurora. It'll be a modest over the next year, but any positive surprise can trigger a significant and sustainable upward move in its share price. I remain bullish with Aurora over the long term. And a disclosure, this analyst has no position in any stock mentioned, which is a good sign. I like when an analyst writes a positive article and they don't have a position in the company, because they're not just writing this article just to push the share prices up. Anyways, that's it for now. That was a whole lot of news, a whole lot of information for Aurora. If you guys want to check out that article, you guys could check it out. I'm going to leave it in the description below. Also, let me know your thoughts and opinions, what you think is going to happen to Aurora in the short term, long term. How low do you think Aurora will go? Is this as low as it's going to go? Aurora is currently sitting at around $1.65 American. Do you guys see Aurora hitting that $1.50 support line? Let me know in the comment sections. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell if you're new here, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye bye.